Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday, the 6th of June, 0606. And we still start today with the SOXX index here, the Semiconductor ETF representing the SOXX index. And that's all the semiconductors in that index. Almost a new all-time high yesterday, and it was primarily pushed by companies like NVDA, TSM and ASML that had a really good day yesterday. New all-time high on NVIDIA, dragging the market higher. Here we can see that the index is very close to new highs. And if we add a little bit of Fibonacci projection there, we could see that, well, if it takes out the previous peak at 243.53, well, then we're looking at 250, 260 possibly. And also here on the weekly chart, we can see there is still potential higher in the coming days and weeks. There is no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels, and the same with NVIDIA and most, and not all of them. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell or invest in these companies because they are very stretched at the moment, but they also look fairly strong, but uptrend is really stretched. NVIDIA is very close to take over as the biggest company in the world, 5% more upside, and Microsoft the biggest one, if that is not moving, so you'll probably see some headlines fairly soon that it is now the biggest company in the world. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Moving on to S&P 500, that after correcting 38.2, yesterday it actually did cancel the top and reversal pattern. So let's get rid of this. So it actually closed above the previous peak and has cancelled this top and reversal pattern. It was a very short reversal before we moved higher, and S&P 500 is now eyeing 5,500 possibly. I'm not quite sure we'll get there, but it seems like sell in May and go away is not really in play this year, at least not yet. Now we're in June, and it looks like we should have a little short and sweet summer rally led by semiconductors primarily. Nasdaq 100. And that is, of course, also very much influenced by semiconductors, obviously. 19,500 up in this area here seems probable. And we also talked about the past few days that there's no divergence on the RSI in positive sentiment. So we are in for higher levels on also Nasdaq in coming days and weeks. Of course, expect some setbacks. Maybe that is what also dragging the European markets higher. We have EUROSTOXX 50 that has bounced off the cloud, upper part of cloud, and just above the 786 retracement. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a retest of the previous peak. If it takes it out 51.22, well, then we are looking at 5,200, possibly higher. But let's see when we get there. DAX. Very strong move this morning. If RSI is back above 60 threshold, despite showing divergence, well, then I think we'll see higher highs on DAX also, and we can guesstimate using Fibonacci projection to see where it could move to. Well, above 19,000, 19,200, 300, around at that level. If it slides back and takes out the lows from last week, well, then that picture has been demolished. Since ASML is such a big company in the AEX index, the index made a new all-time high yesterday, following through today, and seems destined to move towards 930, 935, maybe even 940 in coming days. There's still massive divergence on the RSI, but if it takes out the upper falling trend line, well, then expect higher levels. At the moment, we are in still showing strong positive sentiment. We are above 60, so still very strong move there. CAC, on the other hand, is struggling a little bit, but 79.14. it's the key support, and it did hold it. And if it moves back above the cloud, which I think it will do here the next couple of days, then we could see a potential to test the 49 level, 81.49 level. If it takes out that, it closes above that, well, then I'm also quite sure we will have RSI back above 60, further adding to the bullish rebound picture. Another index that is really moving strongly is the Swiss markets. Reached 161.8 projection of this correction here, and I think we will move higher in coming weeks towards 12,320, maybe even higher. Let's have a look at the weekly chart and see if it can give us anything meaningful. Yeah, there's no strong resistance until around 12,560, around that level, so I would expect it to move higher towards that in the coming days and weeks. Remember, this is for educational purposes only. There's no recommendation in whatever I say here during these webinars. Moving on to euro dollar, and let's just switch back to the daily chart, because that's where the action is, or not so much actually. It's not really doing much, and well, there should be potential up to 109.80, but it can't really get its mojo back together, and there's some divergence here on the RSI. You can see this peak here is lower, and it's better if I do this, then you can easily see how it looks. So a little bit, it is struggling a little bit to move higher really. If it takes out the lows here from about a week ago at 107.88, well, then maybe the uptrend will be cancelled. At least we will be in a range bound. However, we are in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows, but we can't really get it RSI to further confirm it. Break above and close above the upper falling trend line here will confirm it, and we're looking at 109.80, 110. Cable also struggling, more or less the same picture, a little bit of divergence there, but we are in an uptrend, but really struggling to get away from the 128 to push higher to 129. Dollar yen, and this goes for all yen pairs, but dollar yen bounced off the just above the 55 moving average and 50%, and I've been puzzled a little bit why that, but if we move that there, you can actually see it did touch almost spot on the 786 retracement, just here at 154.84, and we are currently back above the cloud. If we get also the RSI back above the 60 threshold, I think we'll see a higher move towards 158.5 or 160, and there's no divergence on the RSI indicating that we are likely to see higher levels on dollar yen. The Euro yen bounced off its 38.2 retracement here at 168.26, and also if we measure from that correction there, you can see it's the 786 retracement also at 168.10. So a really strong bounce really. If it takes out the 170 spot 90 level, well, then even higher levels above 172, 172.5. Excuse me. Aussie yen bounced off 102.80, really strong support. I'll also hear the 38.2 retracement, and I think we will see it slowly crawling higher. If it takes out the lows there from last week and close below 102.80, well, expect a larger correction down to around 101. Keep an eye on what the RSI is doing. If it's moving back above the 60 threshold, expect higher levels. Sterling yen, strong bounce from the 38.2 retracement as we talked about yesterday. I think we'll see a retest of the 200 spot 65 previous peak and resistance, which it is now. So if it takes out that, well, then we could be looking at 202.5, 203 level. Aussie dollar, not much to say, still these levels to look out for. The peak here at 67.14, and to the downside, the level around 65.90. It really needs to break out of that, but underlying it is in a bullish trend. Dollar Canada can't really get above 137.45. It tried yesterday, but got rejected just a few pips below. it really needs to take, if it takes out, don't need to close above, I believe. I think a break, and then we're looking at the previous peak there at 138.46, possibly higher 139 and 39.5. EURUSD key support at 96.75. We can remove that one, which is went straight through. So key support at 96.75, that should be observed. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 96 and 95.5. Dollar Swiss also testing key support at 88.80. I think we'll see a little bit further bounce, but it will be a struggle to get back up here above 90. If it does, well, then maybe we could get back into a little bit more bullish mode and sentiment, but I doubt it for now. If it takes out 88.80, then we are looking at levels around 87.5, 87.30. Finally, the dollar index trying to get back above 104.26, but we are below the cloud. We are below all moving averages. However, the 55 is still rising, so a little bit divergence there between the moving averages. But if we have a negative sentiment on the RSI, we are still in for a test of 103.68. If it takes out that, well, then we have a different situation down to 102. If it moves back up here in this shaded area in the cloud, well, then look out for 105 and a change and a break above the cloud level. Gold is trying to push higher after several tests of 23.14 support and 61.8 at this level, and also the 55 moving average and the cloud area. So we are still in a range bound. It spiked higher above 23.65, but if we do get a close above, and if we do get RSI back above 60, I would expect to move back towards previous peaks at around 24.50. Whether we will take it out is for now debatable, but a move up there in that region it would be in the cards. Then you can see here we also have the 38.2 retracement just around that 23.65. Another push higher. Well, we are looking at 2400, 24.20. Silver. The double top is still in play, but they're really getting some strong bids here. So I think it will be interesting. Can we close back above $30 or not? If it does close back below, well, then we could still see downside potential to 28.5 and maybe more, but I don't think so. But I think it will stop here if we get it. If it does close about around current levels or higher, well, then it will probably try to cancel this double top pattern by a move towards the 32.5, but it is really hard to trade at the moment. Platinum didn't get all the way down to the 61.8 retracement at 974.5. Can still do it, but we have a positive sentiment on the RSI, and so maybe that is turning around. And this is what you can do. You can draw some trend lines on the actual RSI. If it breaks above that falling trend line, there's a great likelihood that it will also push back above 1015, and if it does, well, then I believe we'll see uptrend resuming. There's no divergence on the RSI, indicating we are likely to see higher levels on platinum. Copper bouncing just above the strong support area at 450, 446, really strong support area, and the 55 moving average, and could resume uptrend. There is divergence on the RSI, but it is still in its positive sentiment, hasn't closed above 40, so we could bounce higher here in coming days. The big test will be here 487, 490. Moving on to the oil markets, we have WTI bouncing off 72.40, still downside potential to around 70.5, 70 level, and resistance here at 75 and 3/4. Brent crude oil didn't get all the way down to 76 level, but it is in this region here. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see where we were. We are really back to where we were about 6-7 months ago, but we are in a downtrend. Will potential lower, but a little bit in exhaustive mode. The US 10-year Treasury yield did close below 430, key support yesterday, trying to get back about will it be a false break or not. However, we are in a negative sentiment. You will see RSI below 40 and in a bearish trend towards 420, 417, 418, a really key support level here. If it can get back up, there will be a struggle to get it back above 440. We are below all moving averages, so we're really heavy at the moment, really turned around this potential bullish picture there. So at the moment, lower rates, it seems, at least at the short term. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.